Polar bears are magnificent predators that inhabit the Arctic, particularly the area around the Arctic Ocean. These impressive creatures are perfectly adapted to life in one of the Earth's most extreme environments. The polar bear is a symbol of the Arctic ecosystem and a fascinating example of animals adapting to extreme environmental conditions. Climate change is one of the most significant threats to polar bears, and there are several reasons why climate change is problematic for their populations. Melting sea ice. Climate change is leading to a rapid decline in Arctic sea ice due to temperatures rising faster in the Arctic than the global average. Sea ice is crucial for polar bears as it serves as a platform for hunting seals, their primary prey. With less sea ice, polar bears struggle to find food, leading to malnutrition and a decline in population sizes. The diminishing sea ice also affects polar bears' on-land habitats. They must swim longer distances to access the ice, which is both exhausting and energetically costly. This increases the risk of bears drowning, particularly young cubs. The shrinking ice cover changes the availability of seals and other prey. Polar bears are forced to rely on alternative food sources, which are often less nutritious. This can lead to poorer nutritional health for the bears. Climate change increases stressors for polar bears as they have to endure longer periods without food and may encounter conflicts with humans over food sources or protective areas. Conservation measures for polar bears. The threat to polar bears from climate change has led to various conservation efforts, including some countries where polar bears live have established protected areas to safeguard their habitats and minimize human disturbance. Hunting polar bears is illegal or heavily regulated in most countries to ensure the conservation of populations. Scientists conduct studies to monitor polar bear behavior and health, and better understand the impacts of climate change on populations. Promoting environmental awareness and taking action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions are crucial to combating climate change and securing the future of polar bears. Polar bears are symbolic of the vulnerability of the Arctic and its unique ecosystem in the face of climate change. Their survival depends significantly on global efforts to combat climate change and protect their habitat. Polar bears exhibit fascinating reproductive biology. Female polar bears typically give birth between December and January after a gestation period of about 8 months. Birth occurs within snow dens that the mother bears dig themselves. Newborn cubs are exceptionally small, weighing only about 600 to 700 grams at birth. Mother bears care for their young with great affection, nursing them while staying inside the snow den. Mother bears emerge from the den in spring when the cubs are strong, enough to withstand the cold. Cubs usually stay with their mothers for about 2 years before becoming independent. Polar bears hold cultural significance beyond their ecological importance. They are symbols in the myths and legends of indigenous peoples of the Arctic. They are also represented in pop culture and tourism, drawing people from around the world who want to experience these impressive animals in their natural habitat. The international community has recognized the importance of protecting polar bears, not only for the sake of the species, but also as an indicator of the overall health of the entire Arctic ecosystem. In 1973, the Agreement on the Conservation of Polar Bears was signed to promote the protection of polar bears and their habitats. This agreement commits Arctic nations to take actions for polar bear conservation. The primary driver of the threat to polar bears is climate change caused by greenhouse gas emissions. Mitigating climate change is, therefore, critical for the survival of these animals. Actions such as reducing greenhouse gas emissions, promoting renewable energy sources, and adapting to climate change impacts are essential steps to secure the future of polar bears and the entire Arctic ecosystem. In summary, the climate change-induced threats to polar bears extend beyond their habitat loss and food scarcity, affecting their behavior, health, and even increasing interactions with humans. Protecting these magnificent creatures necessitates comprehensive international efforts to combat climate change and safeguard their habitats. It is an urgent global concern that impacts not only polar bears but also the wider environment and the future of our planet. Polar bears have evolved several remarkable adaptations that allow them to thrive in the harsh Arctic environment. One of their most distinctive features is their thick layer of blubber, which provides insulation and buoyancy, helping them float in the water while swimming long distances in frigid seas. Their fur appears white, but it's actually translucent, and it helps them blend into their snowy surroundings. Their keen sense of smell enables them to detect seals beneath the ice from great distances, making them skilled hunters. Polar bears are primarily found within the Arctic Circle, encompassing the Arctic Ocean, its surrounding seas, and the shorelines of the Arctic continents, which include parts of the United States, Alaska, Canada, Russia, Norway, and Denmark, Greenland. They have a vast range, often covering hundreds of miles in search of food and suitable sea ice habitats. Estimates of the total global polar bear population vary, but there are believed to be between 22,000 and 31,000 polar bears in the wild. However, their population numbers are not uniform across regions, and some subpopulations are declining due to the effects of climate change, while others are relatively stable. The future of polar bears remains uncertain, and it is closely tied to the trajectory of climate change. While conservation efforts are in place, the most critical factor for their survival is the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions to slow down and ultimately reverse the loss of their sea ice habitats. These bears are resilient and have adapted to extreme conditions over millennia, but the rapid changes in their environment due to climate change represent an unprecedented challenge. Scientists continue to study polar bears to better understand their behavior, population dynamics, and health. This research is essential for developing effective conservation strategies. Conservation initiatives focus on minimizing human impacts on polar bears, protecting their habitats, and raising awareness about the importance of these iconic Arctic predators. In summary, polar bears are extraordinary creatures uniquely adapted to life in the Arctic. Their future hinges on global efforts to mitigate climate change and conserve their habitats. Understanding and preserving polar bears is not only vital for their survival, but also serves as a barometer for the overall health of the Arctic ecosystem and our collective responsibility to protect Earth's diverse wildlife.